On the Clinton front, the Clinton Foundation has admitted it made mistakes with its financial practices, especially when it came to donors. But many of the allegations in the book, Clinton Cash, they're starting to have more holes than Swiss cheese. There might be some legitimate questions about that Russian uranium deal, for example, that's getting a lot of press. But there still is no proof here that Hillary herself approved any part of it. Also, it wasn't just the State Department that was involved, as many would be believed. Literally 9 government agencies had to sign off on this. The book also says the State Department gave preferential treatment to foundation donors while Clinton was Secretary of State. But again, zero evidence of any quid pro quo. And again, no smoking gun has turned up yet. Listen, the optics on this thing don't look good. I get it. But, you know, I'll steal a line Andrew was saying before that, that we were talking that it's not even Clinton fatigue. At a certain point, it's almost like, you hear so much about him that it almost like water off a duck's back. It just like kind of fits the narrative. You don't even remember which gate you're talking about now, right? Do you think this story is going to really stick even more than Benghazi or no?
Like they're Teflon, right? Isn't that what we used to say?
Yeah.
It's so true. I agree with you. There's no evidence yet of a quid pro quo, but I think it does stink. I have to be honest with you, and I've said this for 2 years now. Look, you're the ex-president. You're making $150 million while your wife is a senator and secretary of state. And that's personal. That's not to the Clinton Foundation. And yes, there's no evidence of a quid pro quo, but there comes a point at which people start to say enough is enough. At the very least, if you know she's going to run for president or you know she's Secretary of State, why are you doing this?
So to me, Dominic, that's the point I made.
And then you delete the emails, which would allow you to defend yourself.
So part of me, Dom, says, I'm with Jeannie. Like, wait a minute. You know the plan. We've known for how many years that she's going to run, right? Or at least you certainly had that as a distinct possibility. Why do anything that gives a veil of impropriety? However.
Okay, so the Clintons don't have a right to make money.
No, but here's my point. Obama and team knew this. So they put as a condition to her going to state that they had to approve and they had to get a look-see as to all the donors to the foundation. 9 different agencies had to sign off on this. My point is, even if the Clintons wanted to go off the reservation and line their pockets with whatever else, there seemed like there were enough checks and balances that nobody could claim, at least in this administration, oh my God, what were the Clintons doing, right?
Well, I use your term, no smoking gun. All you're doing, and the fact that the author of this book briefed only Republican senators.
4 Republican senators, that's right.
What, I mean, that looks partisan. And all that's happening right now, the professor has a point. It may not pass the smell test, but all you're doing is energizing the Democratic base. And you're doing it so far way ahead of the election that this is not going to stick.
All right, but here's the question. Andrew, if it was the Assistant Secretary of State that did this and her husband had the relationship with big high-end donors, or it was some other Democratic lawmaker that's not named Clinton that did this, do we think that we'd be giving the same benefit of the doubt or no?
I think that's an impossible parallel to try to draw because nobody else is going to be launching a global foundation. Nobody else is going to be looking to this kind of money or to these kinds of sources for it or looking to have this kind of high profile. So it's a unique position. And there really is, if some undersecretary of state had a spouse who was raising money from foreign sources, yeah, that would get flagged because that doesn't happen. But nobody else has a former president who's operating a foundation on their staff. So it's your apples and oranges.
But let's just be honest. I mean, be honest here. If you are talking to Democrats and it's a Republican doing this, they would be all over this. But you're talking to Democrats and you talk to them behind the scenes and they say, holy cow, this is a disaster. Why would they ever have done this? How can you possibly defend this?
To me, the worst part about the judgment part, because I'm with you on this. Like, why do this?
But on air, they say, oh, we haven't found evidence of a quid pro quo. But in all honesty, if it was James Baker, if it's any Republican doing this with their wife or their husband, Democrats would be all over this. And she's running as the people's president. You're going to go into a Starbucks or wherever, and you're going to say to the person making $7 behind the counter, oh, I get you. You made $150 million post-presidency. good, go for it. But then don't sell
Is there,
yourself the
is
way
there
you're selling.
anybody running for president who's not wealthy? Is there anybody running for president who matches up with the Starbucks
But
barista in that example that you
there's
just
no
gave?
Other Democrats
no,
running.
no, I understand.
But there's no other
I understand
Democrats
that, but
running.
her concern isn't another Democrat. Her concern is beating Republicans, and every Republican
But her
has loads of
concern
money
should
and doesn't
be
have
a
a problem
Democrat
like that.
because she could have a big
the
problem.
big concern here is, are there tepid Democrats who are like, all right, I'll probably vote for Hillary even
But
though I
then,
don't love
Andrew,
her.
what
If
you just said,
unless
Andrew.
it's torpedoed those votes,
But you know
she's
what?
not in
Take
trouble.
the politics for 1 second out of this. For me, the part I still don't get is, whether you love them or hate them, the Clintons are among the smartest political, not just strategists, but also operatives, right? They get how it works. They didn't have to do this. Now, I understand the
But
Global
Richard-
Foundation raised money from
But
around the
we-
world.
But I know
It's
this is
like
gonna
deleting
sound-
all the emails,
Okay,
Dominic. It just doesn't look
but
right.
Richard, but we don't know what their financial situation was. If every other president has cashed in after they've left office,
Tom,
it's
Nobody
almost-
else has cashed
to
in
this
like
degree,
this.
to this
Nobody
degree.
else has cashed in, and nobody else
I
has
don't
had
begrudge your
a
speech.
wife in Senate or
The
a
guy's
Secretary
made
of
9
State.
figures since he's left. We don't have to do a fundraiser
And
to
you
pay the
hear what-
mortgage.
and you
all
hear
right?
what-
But remember, she got in trouble for saying this, that when they left the White
They were
House,
poor.
that they were poor.
I
And in-
would
in
like to
her
be that poor.
And in her mind, maybe, I mean, of
I
course
feel
it's
your
ridiculous.
pain, Dominic.
Okay,
I
good.
feel your
Help
pain.
me out, Brother
Yes,
Richard. Help
but,
me out
but my
here.
only point is, they're smart enough that they didn't need to take the Russian money for the foundation. They're smart enough that they
But
didn't need
that's
to do
easy
this.
to say now. If you got a foundation to run and you need millions of dollars to do so, to get that medicine to the AIDS medicine to Africa,
Okay.
it requires a lot of
Then
money.
fine.
Yeah, but
Then
the
don't
problem-
give them the access that goes along with it that makes it that
But
that
I'm
money
sorry,
don't look right.
this
in the
is
state.
not
the
that
access.
$150 million was not going to Africa. It
No,
was going to their
but nobody's
pockets.
talking about that.
That was not foundation money. That was personal money, and there's a huge difference. I agree with you. If this money is going to help people, that's one thing. $150 million went into their pocket.
Jeannie,
I don't
since they
begrudge
left.
that.
You know-
I don't either. But then be honest about it. Don't.
Well, how do they lie about it?
Well, didn't they mislead on their tax records? Didn't they just admit that that's what they did? And we don't know what else they did because they deleted their emails.
But as far as their tax returns, they've said they've got to make some amendments. And they, and,
No, they
and
conflated two
they
different-
made
yeah.
a mistake because it's different reporting requirements in Canada, and part of the money came from Canada. They don't have the same
I'm with you.
disclosure.
They're the Clintons.
wait, wait.
Oh, please, they're the
Everybody-
Clintons. Disclosure
Everybody who runs for
problems.
president makes a ton of money before they run because they have one source that they can then funnel money into their campaign that has no cap, and that's
Andrew,
themselves.
Andrew, as a liberal,
every
why
president.
are you defending this? That's what
because
I don't get.
Because this is not
Liberals-
so far unusual from what
No, no,
every
no.
other
But
candidate
you're
has done.
defending
You guys are
something.
arguing about two different things. I don't think anybody at the table begrudges somebody for making a buck
No.
or 150 million bucks if you can on the speaking circuit. The issue is, were there any quid pro quos that went attached to whether it be speaking fees or foundation money that got
But
access?
Richard, do you actually believe anybody gave him $500,000 to go make a 45-minute speech?
Well, hang on.
For
hang
the
on, hang
love
on,
of God, that is absolutely
what quid pro
untrue.
quo- What quid pro quo is Marco Rubio getting for backing up the policies of Sheldon Adelson so that he can get his money? What quid pro quo are
you
other
have
candidates
a
getting so they can
problem
get
with that,
Koch
right?
brothers? Of
You
course I have a problem with that.
So why not have a
So
problem
why are the
on
rules
other
only applying
side?
in this case and not applying to these
But
other
I
candidates?
think they
Why are
apply
we
to
not
all
shining the
cases.
same spotlight
Okay,
on
all right,
Republicans who are running for
First of
president?
all, the money
Not
that they get,
attacking
the,
all of
the
them.
Clintons don't need any money from any speech to pay for any campaign.
Well, they don't need
They're-
it now.
No, they're not going to need it at all. All right, they're going to sit in that money. They're not going to be spending it on any campaign. They're
All
going to
I
get
know,
$2 billion.
Richard, is that they
when it's
own
said and done.
several homes, and I don't know what their financial situation was when
Dominic,
they left the White
have
House.
more than
Okay,
$1.50.
but since then they're okay.
Yes,
they're
since then
okay.
they're okay. They're
All right.
okay.
But
Dominic,
this is
worrying
not,
about
this
Bill
is
here,
not
you know, with a soup
appropriate.
can.
This is not appropriate, left, right, or
None of
center.
it's appropriate.
But
I
then
agree
why
with you.
defend her doing
Because
it
why
because
single
she's a
her out
Democrat?
for doing
No, but what is
ostensibly
it?
what you
all
think
of
is
them.
the
Wait,
same
wait,
thing?
what
that
is
people
it
do?
that you have a problem?
It's if she is Secretary of State or a Senator of the United States,
Yeah.
you cannot be accepting donations from foreign
She
countries.
didn't. The foundation did.
Jeannie, there's a huge
Oh,
distinction.
really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You guys actually think that they gave Bill Clinton that money because he was an ex-president? Compare how much he made to how much other previous presidents have made and tell me now whether in fact that's okay.
But you've made a leap, Professor, that you have no evidence to back it up on.
I haven't made a leap. I haven't said there's a quid pro quo. You cannot.
implied.
No, you cannot do that and run for president.
What-
That
Of
is
course
the
you
reality.
can.
Jeannie, what was her job at
Really?
the Clinton
Yeah,
Foundation?
wait. If George W. Bush got millions of dollars if he chose to do any speaking engagements.
Laura Bush-
time out.
was Laura Bush in office?
Should I preclude his brother from running for office? Should Jeb not be allowed because George raised money? How about his dad? Should we not let Jeb run for anything?
Do you think there's a
No,
reason
should
that
we?
George Bush made those comments this weekend at Sheldon Adelson's hotel? It's because his brother is running. You guys all know why people are trying to attach themselves to Bill Clinton. It's to get what they need.
But-
Do you
but
think
time
that
out.
bank in Canada had any interest in
time out.
anything else than
But
getting
time
what
out.
they wanted?
They can.
They just
And
wanted to hear Bill Clinton speak.
first of all, these guys make major coin here when there isn't even. But let's even say you're right. Let's say the people.
I am right, Richard.
People give money because they want to have the opportunity, theoretically, of access. But unless you can prove that they got access and that access
So
led to any
I'm a
preferential
voter?
treatment, please.
So I'm a voter, and now I have to set about proving a quid pro quo. That's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't pass the smell test. And here's the problem: she's asking for constitutional amendment to ban money in campaigns, and yet they're taking that amount of money. The hypocrisy is rampant. And I agree with you.
Whoa, that never happened. You just made that
She
up.
just said that.
No.
She
did,
said
but-
that, and she
Jeannie,
did.
she did, but I'm saying she never. You have no scintilla of evidence that they took any money that they were given as a contribution, first of all, to the foundation, can't be funneled into a campaign fund, and secondly, that our husband speaking engagements are being put into a campaign fund. The Clintons are going to raise $2 billion for this campaign.
$2.5 billion,
Right. So
yeah.
they don't need the speaking fees to pay for an ad in Iowa. Okay, they're going to be all right.
Oh,
If
but
she wants
you
to call
think
for a
we-
ban on money in politics, I applaud that, but there's no reason that she should follow that rule in this election when there is no ban on money in politics right now and put herself at an enormous disadvantage
All right.
when she's running
when
for
we
the
come back
presidency.
here,
You're
we're gonna
one-sided,
get
Andrew.
we're gonna get closer to home. If my voice holds up, we have heard a lot of doozies from Rudy Giuliani, Dominic's good friend. But wait till you hear what he had to say about the murder of officers Lou and Ramos, the officers, as you know, that were killed in Brooklyn. This one, it could top them all.